About Music podcast.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. This is episode 9 of the Kind of About Music podcast, and you can get all the previous episodes and the future episodes when they come out. Obviously not yet, because they're not out yet because I haven't made them yet. But you'll be able to get them on my website, which is jimguitarman.com. On the website as well, there'll be links to my social media. Just finishing redoing my website, so I'll have a shiny new website soon. You'll be able to get all my social media links, so go on there and follow me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and make me look super cool. As long as I've got more followers than Dom Anthony, then that's fine. As long as I've got more likes or Twitter followers or Instagram, as long as it's more than him, that is fine. So you can find those links on the website. It's just basically Twitter /Jim Guitarman. Facebook, Jim Guitarman Music for Facebook, I think, and Instagram's just Jim Guitarman. So that's that. Today's guest is my dad, who is a fantastic guitar player and has a very unique approach to playing guitar. Many of my friends have been taught by him at college and university, where he was a lecturer, and yeah, there's nothing out there that's recorded of him playing that's recorded, or no videos or much recorded music of him playing. He's managed to avoid doing that most of his life. But a really unique player and pretty amazing, pretty incredible. Still a big influence on me, of course, as well. And it was a good laugh to do this episode. We filmed it on Father's Day, which I think is like the 19th of June or something like that. And it's now the 1st of August, so it's taken me a while to get this one edited and sorted out. And the reason being is I've got no internet and my camera's broke. So I've just got my GoPro back, actually. This episode, we actually filmed it on my iPhone, and for the second time in a row, because with Sam Weston's previous podcast, the GoPro stopped filming for the last 20 minutes, and that's happened on this one as well. But by that time, probably bored of looking at it anyway. So here's the podcast with my dad, Pete McGrother. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Never ever
This is Pete McGrother. This is my dad. So you see the family resemblance. We've had a very long setup time today because the camera wasn't working and the GoPro wasn't working, but that doesn't matter now. We're filming this on the iPhone, so if the footage cuts out halfway through or something doesn't work, we've got the audio anyway, it's all fine. Anyway, Dad, thank you for cleaning it on the podcast. And it's Father's Day as well, which I totally planned this.
Absolutely, yeah. I believe that.
Sweet. So I'm a professional guitar player. My dad has been a professional guitar player since he was 15, and how old are you now?
69.
69. I was going to say 42, but there we go. So, how did you get started with guitar? What happened? What was your introduction to guitar? You've got to talk this way because of this, though.
Yes. Well, it wasn't an introduction to guitar. It was basically, since you asked me this question about a week ago, I've had to think about this, and it was actually an introduction to sort of pop music, not guitar.
Yeah.
And most of the lead stuff that I was interested in was basically played on clarinets and trumpets and things like that. So Sidney Bechet, and the first number that I can remember taking an interest in was around about 1954. A track that was recorded in 1949, I've since found out, called "So Tired" by Russ Morgan. It's a famous track for old fogies like me, and it sort of goes like this. No, so we're going to play it wrong. Etc. But it's this phrase, it's just one little thing with two notes in it. That's all it was.
Well, that caught your ear and...
That's all it was. It was a playing on a trumpet with a mute.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it had a wow. Yeah, that's it.
So you heard that, and that made that switched you on to kind of the idea of lead, what you always call lead parts or creative lead.
Yeah, instrument. That's right. And it was the whole of the band was playing the main part, but this one trumpet was doing this thing. And I suppose in context, there'd been about 30 or 40 years of Sidney Bechet and people like him.
Yeah.
Playing all sorts of clever lead things.
So I'm just trying to set this up so it's going to capture you talking a bit better.
All right.
So Sidney Bechet playing lead stuff on.
Well, since the 20s or whenever it was. I mean, he was playing in London in 1919, as far as I can remember. So they'd been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think we'd all got some of that sort of jazz thing in the background, twisting and bending notes and famous.
So how old were you when you heard that? And it would have been on the radio,
mid-50s, I would say, about 1954. And I was born in 47, so I'd be about 8 when you first start listening to that kind of music.
Hearing the trumpet, because that's what guitar really, electric guitar at least, when electric guitar became bigger in the 50s, it was replacing the brass instruments, wasn't it, that was doing...
I think to a large extent it seemed to replace the lead parts that had previously been played on, I think, on clarinet and trumpet.
Yeah.
You listen to the Glenn Miller stuff that was going on before then. And, he famously had that lead clarinet part.
Yeah.
As well as the trad players who were around in the 50s who were playing, Chris Barber and all these people, who eventually gave us their rhythm sections as skiffle groups, which was Lonnie Donegan. That's where that came from, I think.
Yeah. So what then? How did you get to guitar playing?
Well, just pestered the parents, and and got this acoustic guitar off somebody who didn't want one, and just blasted this thing for a couple of years and started picking up, I don't know. I mean, it was about that time that that Elvis recorded "That's All Right, Mama." I think about 1954, and we started hearing that in the years after that, and it was just very different from what the sort of big band and swing things that had been there before.
Yeah. So That's All Right, Mama, and you've always told me that, or I know I've always known that your favourite guitar players have generally been the guys who played for Elvis. So you got James Burton, and originally you had Scotty Moore, but also, what's the name of the guy?
Hank Garland,
who not a lot of people know about, and he does that Sugarfoot Rag, which I think I butchered on a podcast with Tom Anton not long ago. But so you're playing acoustic guitar and learning basically, I suppose, the chord progressions.
Well, I mean, there was only three chords. You taught yourself guitar by playing little chord sequences like that. And then try it in a different key.
So that's kind of where skiffle come from in this country.
Yeah, it was that kind of thing. That's what you heard mostly, and there were little programs on the light program that had bits of guitar and things, and you just really stole everything that you heard and processed it onto the guitar.
Yeah, you've always told me that being a musician is 90% thievery.
Well, it is. I mean, in the famous words of my old bass player, don't nick rubbish. The idea is to find out what good players are doing and copy it.
Yeah. Well, I've been going down in London and seeing all the level of the players down there, and if you go and watch somebody who is, it's a tough thing to do, to watch somebody who's really, really high class, kind of high quality, a great player, because the first thing that you do is your ego reacts to it and you go, oh, why can't I do that, but why haven't I thought about that? But you're getting a great education and basically laying out a curriculum or a syllabus for your next month or so of stuff to learn, and that's always been great. Yeah. So what was the first guitar player that you kind of picked up on?
Well, I think there were different areas. This was one of the things about the 50s into the 60s. There were various things. I mean, there was a kind of blues area that was coming, but sort of Delta blues. If you want, I'll plonk a few verses. This and lots of it, you didn't hear the original. You just heard somebody else talking about it. So I mean, this is probably all wrong, but this is kind of the version that I picked up around about the late 50s, which I think is Bill Brunsey. Into something like that, but it was all second hand. I mean, it wasn't a lot of record buying or whatever.
I'm thinking that the original didn't have all those parts in it. Like,
I have no idea what it was like. I know but it wasn't just Bill Brunsey. I mean, one of the famous people was Sonny Terry, Brownie McGee. They were very popular. I mean, they came to Sheffield, and I think packed the place out. All that. and I mean, as a lead player, Sonny Terry, I don't think there's been anybody better since.
He's the man on the harmonica, isn't he?
Yeah. But Brownie McGee played sort of guitar. Now, I did listen to this on the record, so I know that this goes something like this. sing a verse or something and then put sort of chorus in. Things like, and there was another guy, again, I'm only guessing that this is right, but I think this was Josh White, and I seem to remember playing this, remember it because it's a different chord sequence from usual. It went like this. Second verse.
Yeah, so all that kind of like blues progression. So that's very similar chord progression to "Nobody Knows When You're Down and Out."
No, it might be nobody.
Oh
knows
yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
You know, so I don't know whether that's Josh White or
yes, no, I think
that
it is.
Name rings a bell.
Yeah, Clapton did it as well, didn't he? And as my friend Tom Atto always says, he says Eric Clapton invented the blues in 1984.
Yes. Well,
but you're playing your style is a unique style because most people play with a plectrum or a plectrum and fingers and stuff like that, and it sounds like a guitar, and you generally need a bass player. Most guitar players need a bass player, but you play everything on one guitar with just nails and fingers. Did you start off playing plectrum? Because I think you remember told me that you did start.
I think I did. I'm sure I did, but I lost them and curtains opened and you just finished up playing with.
There's a little. I think there's a little gremlin that follows you around, and when you put your plectrums down, or he comes and steals them out your trousers and throws them in the washing machine.
That's right. I'm sure.
I'm convinced that that's the case.
I'm sure that's the case, but I mean, I used to use any old lump of plastic that you could get hold of, and eventually all the plastic was lost, and you were just left with your fingers, and that was it, kind of thing.
So what I've always had watching you is this kind of full sound coming out of the guitar, which you don't hear from a lot of other guitar players. I mean, a lot of country players will play like kind of stuff with fingers and. I've got this on me here. A lot of stuff with. They'll play stuff with fingers and stuff to get strings going out, but eventually you get to a point where there isn't a bass note going on, and it's just to do kind of banjo rolls. Whereas with your playing, you're kind of putting in the bass part and you're putting in the chord, and all of the lead playing is, as me and you have kind of famously among us two, and I've complained to some of my musician friends about in the past. We've had arguments about whether you're playing scales or chords, but you're just kind of almost thinking of it as rhythm guitar with extra lead parts in the chord, and it's quite a unique way of looking at it. Most people I know who play guitar don't learn it that way.
I think it's based on the idea that if you're going to steal things, steal everything. Kind of thing. It's the idea that, for instance, in that period of time, I mean, it wasn't just American stuff. There was English stuff that people took an interest in, and I plonked this one through. etc.
Yeah.
So what you've got there
Living
is,
Doll by Cliff Richard?
yes. You've got
Busting
the
out
melody
Cliff
and
Richard.
the chords, obviously, the melody and harmony, and then you've got the solo, which was, I mean, that's roughly what the solo was, apart from me forgetting all the chords of it. So you've then got, so you can steal it all.
Yeah.
That's the point.
It's
And
a massive amount of stuff, though. It's not like one of the things that I basically do for a living is learn songs quick, because you're playing for different people all the time and sets, and what I'm doing is learning the chords, the solo, a bit of the lead part, and turn up and try and make something work on the day, and kind of use an improvisational kind of approach to the chord work and the harmony and the room play and stuff like that. But these are kind of orchestrations on the guitar that you like. Everything that Ivory plays like an orchestration of a part of the song, and it's kind of what you might call a holistic approach to guitar playing. It's really unique. If you look, you can look on YouTube or the internet. You can go and watch guitar players, and I don't know anybody who sounds like this. And I'm not just saying this because you're my dad. It's a really unique thing, and it's a I think it's an intense amount of information that's coming out of the guitar.
I think over the years, what has happened in some of the nightclub work as well springs to mind, that you were playing things with very sort of small combos. So you wouldn't, I mean, in the early days you would have a lead guitar and rhythm guitar, and then there wasn't a lead guitar and rhythm guitar, and it was just sort of guitar, bass and drums kind
That's
of thing.
what
So
I've been doing a lot.
You do all this stuff where you're filling in all the time, and it just gets bigger and more rambly kind of thing.
And you don't use any of. I mean, I've got a little bit of compression on today to make it to make the notes ring out a bit more at the top end, which we can talk about Tony in a bit. But it's not like when I'm playing and I'm covering. It's not the keys parts that I'm covering. When I'm playing in a three-piece situation, because you normally have a keys player. And when I'm doing that, I mean, I'm using effects and distortion and delays and flanges and all sorts of things and phases and all sorts of things to try and make it more interesting. Known in the business as turd polishers, and I've got a few of them down there. But you're not doing that. You've just got clean sound, so you're like, it's just guitar playing.
Well, it's the business of picking out what you want to pick out. I mean, when I was a keyboard player, you always had the volume control, which allowed you to play in the gaps and just play the chords and sort of the background in the background.
Yeah.
But
you can get those for guitar, but you don't tend to do much.
On guitar, you tend to sort of play the chords when you're accompanying and pick out the lead parts when you're not, kind of thing. It's just what's required at the time. That's all. I mean, it's exactly the same gaps as the keyboard player would fill.
Yeah.
That kind of.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what, again, from being around such great players down in London, especially keys players, I always try and listen a lot to the keys players. Sometimes because you're watching the left hand trying to figure out what the corporations in the song you're not done. But keys players have a really different approach to playing, as you say, accompaniment and chord progressions and harmony. So I'm always trying to hear and learn off what the keys players are doing, and they're filling, but it sounds like they're playing rhythm, but it's fills and stuff. Whereas a guitar, generally, when a lead guitar kind of fills, it's a one note or whatever it is in the gap. But a keys player isn't. I mean, you're playing guitar, I suppose, as close to what I'd imagine a keys player.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've had that conversation before with technicians in studios and whatnot, sort of saying, treat it as though it's a keyboard thing, and so it's going all the time.
Yeah, and tone-wise, that's what you're looking for, isn't it? Well, we've had some discussions about
this
tone.
sort of flat electric piano sound kind of.
Do you know there's a pedal that actually makes it sound like, I'll have to show you the video of it. I think I sent you once. It's a pedal that turns your guitar into sound like a Hammond.
I probably wouldn't know how to. I probably wouldn't know how to do that now. But I mean,
all you do is you press a button and it does it.
No, I mean how to incorporate it. I tend to do the versions of that I need simply by playing at different places and just different pressures on the. It's just what you get used to, isn't it?
One of the things I was going to say as well is you just to demonstrate the difference in kind of what how someone playing with the pick and fingers. Some people use, I suppose, picks on the ends of the fingers. I don't tend to do that. We both do a version of a solo Hello Mary Lou. It's not something that I've kind of learned recently. Let me play it and then you play it, just roughly, and then just see what the difference in sound is, because that's going to be quite interesting. So what was it? What was it then? Yeah. That a little bit, but let's hear your version. It doesn't need to be perfect, just to hear what the kind of basic difference in
I would start off with the rhythm guitar part, because you got this thing between the various instruments, and I think what they call the tag piano, which was doing this kind of thing.
I'll see if I can do the solo. It's like... Is that the chord progression for Mary Lou?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 1. You do the solo as well, don't you?
I don't
It doesn't matter if it doesn't. See, I'm playing the kind of the bit straight Burton part, albeit not very well, with the all that sort of thing. But you're doing the kind of, you get always double stops. It's always double stops, isn't it? Pretty much when you're doing bends. Like, just play the second half from kind of from the second up. How you do it though?
It's getting the chord in it.
Yeah, see, you're
yeah, well, I mean, playing rock and roll guitar was all about learning this business of bending strings, bending a bent string into a straight string, and all that kind of thing. That kind of thing that Hank Garland and James Burton were great exponents of.
And we went to, you've seen James Burton a few times, but we went to see him in Sheffield City with some guys from the Ricky Nelson band, which that is a Ricky Nelson song.
Yeah.
But the thing with James Burton as well, he used size 8 strings, and a Telecaster obviously, but he used size 8 strings, and he, the normal size is 9, so he's using really thin. I use 10s. But he apparently was the guy who told, up until that point, strings were 11s or whatever, because he was used to kind of big arch top guitars and all that sort of thing. And Burton went and saw Ernie Ball and said, "You know what we want to do? You want to make some slinky ones."
I think he was using banjo strings.
Yeah. So he went and told, and that's the reason we have lighter gauge strings that you can bend the third string.
Yeah,
I think it was a wound third string before.
Yes, that's what it was, often wound third strings. And when you started having to play this stuff with bends in, you couldn't bend the thing far enough, so you needed to put lighter strings on the third, and in the end it just became unwound.
Yeah, and it's kind of the sound of guitar, I suppose, country guitar and all that sort of thing, is that string bending thing that just wasn't as much really. I think he was the kind of the first guy. Jimmy Page always had a picture of him in his guitar case.
Well, it was the thing about bending strings was that normally when you were playing sort of bluesy things, you were playing sort of half-tone bends, like that kind of thing. Whereas yeah, that's it. If you were playing country, you'd be playing full tone. So
yeah.
you
So you don't want the minor sound, you want to kind of going for the major sound.
Well, you got the two fields. One was
it.
sort of country and pop, and the other one was blues. Kind
Yeah, so if you play like a kind of a... That's the blues one, and then the country one is...
Yeah.
That's both an E major chord sort of thing.
But the thing is, you would try to keep both strings going. You wouldn't play as separate notes like you just did. You would play it as the same note at the same time.
Yeah, I mean I use them as options.
Which
I
you
suppose.
could play. Yeah, and the point is, I mean, it's very easy to play very badly using that stuff. So you need to.
Yeah, intonation and stuff.
What I did, looking at that kind of playing, I made an exercise up that I can plonk through if you want.
Just before you do that, this is not what I normally do, but I'm just going to go and check that this iPhone is still filming.
It's just an exercise really, but it just puts together a load of these kind of basic standard riffs. So it's a bit boring and repetitive, but it does get through. It allows you to practice a set of riffs that you wouldn't always use. What have I done here? So that it just allows you to play through, to remember those kind of riffs.
So these are I just thought of something. Just move that maybe a bit to the side because I don't know if it's going to be in the way.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Yeah. Well, what you're doing there is, I mean, first of all, I don't really know what you're doing there, but the second thing is, I think the idea that you're kind of working with is options for licks and fills and riffs on each chord number.
That's right. That's
So
right.
because you can't play when you're playing like a 1-4-5 sort of thing like that, you can't, in a kind of bluesy blues rock sort of style, you can't play the same licks on every chord. You've got to adapt to what it is, and this is where the difference is that we've talked about a lot of times, where modern guitar players learn it from a scale background. So they learn, if you're on A, I can play A minor pentatonic, or A major pentatonic. But that, and then when I go to D, maybe I have to adapt that and maybe play a kind of Mixolydian or a Dorian or something like that. But that's kind of not really how your thought process works at all. It's like I'm playing A, so I'm going to play A in the back, in like as many places I can find on there. And then I'm on D, right, there's loads of places I can play D as well.
Yes, it's all springing out from the chords. If you want, I'll give you an example of how it works. You just take the if you look at that set of riffs there, you can simply dump them onto a chord progression. So if you take the chord progression, for instance, of Proud Mary, which you may know, it's like the So you may, if you analysed that set of riffs in that exercise, you can see that all that's happening is they're just being dumped onto chords.
And this is the thing about playing with your fingers, because you're playing the bass notes or a lot of the chord, you're able to go around through the different frequency ranges of the chord. When you play a fill, it doesn't feel like the guitar goes missing, and because you're not kind of using overdrive and you're controlling the volume and all that sort of thing. Whereas if I tried to do anything when I'm filling around as much when people are singing or anything like that, then it's going to sound like the guitar goes missing, but that's because I'm not keeping all of the bass notes going as if I'm going to fill. And that's just probably because I haven't taken the time to figure out as many of the and also just to do the thing with the finger playing as well. So most guitar players, I think, approach it more like me. So yours is a very unique.
Well, I think it was how people played. People in my sort of generation tended to play it. To be honest, I think that's. I mean, it's in classical guitar. You do that sort of thing all the time,
but electric guitar, not many people don't play with a pick.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are people who play with it. I mean, the guitar players. Every guitar player is sort of different. You get the idea that you're doing one thing, kind of thing. And you get these great geniuses of all types and shades and sizes and whatnot.
So who would be, talk about geniuses of guitar? Who would be your top 5 guitar players then?
Well, I think perhaps Charlie Bird.
Classical guitar.
Well, he did classical jazz player, wasn't he? He did things like we used to do this kind of stuff in nightclubs. When people weren't dancing, you'd try to play this background music. And then she set off again. But there's all sorts of, clever stuff played by what was actually Charlie Bird was a classical guitar player.
So Charlie Bird's one.
Natalie Cholima would be the second one
The guy
for me.
from Los.
I think there's Tomaharis, the Brazilian. The guy
He's incredible. I was give me the CD. I was listening in the car. If you've not heard of these, check it out. It's kind of acoustic, kind of classical guitar stuff, but it's a jazz, Latin, bossa nova sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the lead playing that's incredible. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, he's a special player. But he played this one. He came to everybody's notice with this, didn't he? But that was quite a big hit all over. Maria Elena.
But even he there, see, on the original, he's there's an acoustic guitar in the background.
Yeah. He does.
So he isn't playing the chord; he's just doing all of the lead runs and stuff, isn't he? So even there, you're putting the extra stuff. Okay, so what's his name?
Natalie Cholima.
Natalie Cholima. Charlie Bird, that's two.
Well, obviously the people who influenced us, like the early Presley stuff.
So who's this?
This guy. Of course, he's got him all.
Yeah, but again, he didn't play that, did he? But yeah.
Well, I mean, it gets altered over the years, kind of thing. But that's basic. He basically had that idea for that sound. I don't think I'd ever heard anybody play that sort of sound.
He always said. I'm sure I saw an interview where he said people asked him where he got his licks from. He said, "Well, basically, I think he was saying that wherever he was playing was a tribute to a guitar player he liked, which is a nice way to think about it. So I've just got a bank of other people's licks that I put in, and I think, oh, I'd like a such and such lick, or I'd like a such and such. I don't know the guitar players that influenced him, but
neither do I.
No, so that's 3. But I'd say, from knowing you, the other 2 would be James Burton and Hank Garland.
Hank Garland, yeah.
And Hank Garland is a guy that people don't know much about, but there's a Steve Vai film called Crazy, which it's an alright film. Steve Vai financed and directed the film, I think. It's about this session musician in Nashville at the time called Hank Garland, who he apparently crashed his van, but his truck, but they found bullet holes.
Well, he was injured.
He was pissing off the Nashville establishment because he wanted credit for songs that he was playing on and writing.
Apparently, yeah.
But then he had, after the crash, he got a load of electric shock therapy, which kind of turned him.
Is that right?
Yeah, which is the thing that was big at the time, but it fried his brain. I think his brother kind of hid him from the world forever. But
I see.
Every so often they put him in a guitar magazine, and it's and have a look back on it.
Oh, he's an enormous talent. I mean, he just...
The track that you always say for listening to about him, Hank Garland, is Viva Las Vegas. Is it the live version or is it the...
Viva Las Vegas, yeah. I don't know, I think it's the version of the film, I think. And
there's this ridiculous guitar parts going on in the background, isn't it? It's like, it's quite faint, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. A lot of his playing is faint, and it's this kind of rumbly... sort of plectrum thing that he's playing. And he also plays for Jerry Lee Lewis. In I think he played on What I Say and Living Loving Wreck, which are two really famous parts that Jerry Lee Lewis did. And Hank Garland was just I think he was the top guitar player. My impression is he was the top guitar player in Nashville.
Well, if Elvis is using
in the gang of guitar players that were basically organised by Chet Atkins, I think, and he was the top man.
So obviously the other one is James Burton. You were saying there's a good video to watch for a guitar gig, especially if you're into country music. It's Chet Atkins, James Burton, and Albert Lee.
Albert Lee, yes.
And they all play the Ray Charles song. Which one is it? Is it What I Say?
No. It's I Got a Woman.
I Got a Woman, yeah. And they all play a verse solo on it. And I think if you listen to it, it's clear to see. I think James Burton is the best version. I mean, you got different tastes and stuff. Because Albert Lee's kind of got the kind of all the fairly quicks.
Albert Lee has done some great solos.
Yeah.
I think I'm sure. I mean, this is only my guess, but in my own mind, I'm sure that Albert Lee played the solo on a track called Tennessee Whiskey and Texas Women. And I think it was by a group called the Colorados, and it's tremendous guitar part.
Yeah. And
it was him, and I think that track on its own makes him one of the great guitar players of all time.
Yeah.
Very superb player.
For James Burton, then, which would you say is the go-to thing to check out for James Burton to get the quintessential?
Well, I mean, the breakthrough thing that everybody knows with James Burton, I think, was Hello, Mary Lou.
Yeah.
But Stranger in the Crowd, and quite a lot of that stuff that he did live with Elvis Presley.
And he's still playing now. I think he might be older than you actually. But
I'm sure he is. Clever.
But he's still doing it, and he gets on stage with is it Brent Mason and people like that, the country players, who I noticed the other day. He's one of the top country players, Telecaster player, and he used the compressor that you're using.
Oh, I see.
Which is why your tone sounds so. Part of the reason why your tone sounds so much better than Manti. But yeah, they did a solo. There was him and there was Seymour Duncan, the guy who makes the pickups.
Yeah.
I watched a video of them three playing. I forgot which song it was that they were playing actually. But again, Burton, it looks like he's on his holidays in Miami or something with his big shirt on and everything, but he comes out with this incredible guitar solo. He does all these kind of pre-bend things, doesn't he?
That's
he does all that kind of and then fade.
Yeah, it's sort of bent before you hit it and then it straightens out kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, I always enjoy watching Burton.
And he's got like a Hawaiian sound. He always has that kind of kind of.
Well, Amos Garrett said he was influenced by Burton, didn't he? The guy who did Midnight at the Oasis.
Yeah, so that we met him, didn't we?
Yeah, we met him. Yeah.
So, do you play that solo, Midnight at the Oasis?
No, I've never played that.
So what's the thing at the moment? I don't know if you're up on this at the moment. If you've managed to keep up. One of the funniest things I remember. It's impressive as well. The funniest things is your version of Teddy Bear's Picnic. Do you still know that?
I've played it once or twice.
So the idea is that you could put all these parts and riffs into any song. But
we heard a classical guitar version of that.
Oh right,
That's what it was.
Yeah. Oh right, I just thought it was something quirky. That
it was a classical guitar part. I think that somebody used for a television part. I think it came on a television part.
Is it like a complex chord sequence or anything? It's not.
No, it's not. It's not. It's just in a minor.
I've got it on a CD somewhere because you recorded it, the acoustic version, didn't you?
Did I? Once upon a time, yeah. I mean, I can't remember. I don't know. Let me think.
That's hilarious.
Ridiculous part, but I mean, I can't really remember it, but it does actually fit quite. Even this part up here fits quite easily on the guitar. You know, if you practice it, it's quite playable. I mean, I'm making it look difficult, but it's actually quite easy.
One person we left out of the top five, Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry, I mean, a great player, wasn't he? But
which is what we started with, the Johnny B. Good one.
Yeah.
Well, you said this, and I think that's what you said, and I think it's true for me as well. Favourite Chuck Berry song, I think the best parts and playing that he did is Carol.
Carol, yeah. I mean,
and there's two recorded versions of that. One of them ain't good because he don't play any of the lead parts, and one of them's really good. But the sound that he gets on it as well, I'm not really sure how he got that sound.
Yeah, no, do I.
With
I think it's a really sort of down here kind of
microphone. It's almost like there's a microphone on it, and it's kind of like there's a microphone on the arch. It's like an arch top with a microphone, and then a little bit of amp or something. I don't know. I mean, it's a really unique set. Can you remember any of Carol?
I have no idea how they did it, but I mean, I don't play it like it originally was. I don't think it just alters over the years.
really like the single string versions of the playing that Chuck Berry does on it, but you were putting in all these extra, as you say, bends going into straight strings and all that sort of thing. I wish I could remember the second verse, but I can't.
What I play, I think, was probably more influenced over a period of time by Hank Garland and James Burton.
Yeah.
So it tends to come out like that, you know.
Sure, yeah.
But I mean, the record is a great guitar part. Chuck Berry.
It's my favourite. But so you've got a band called the Thunderbirds, which was named before the TV programme.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't do as much now, but I remember growing up as a kid and watching every so often. I'm going to watch the Thunderbirds and Ernie playing bass, who's a bass player you've played with, played bass, played in bands with from the time you were 15. And one of the other Chuck Berry song that I remember that I always loved that you guys did was Thinking About You. Is it called Thinking of You?
Talking About
You. Talk with that boogie bass line that it does on it.
Well, Ernie's a great boogie player. Ernie Booth.
I want to do a podcast with both of you on it at some point. When I have to have a chat with him, and because you playing that and him playing the boogie on the bottom is something.
You do need the bass part of that. It's a big bass part.
And Fred singing as well, because when your band the Thunderbirds, of course, you had Keith as the drummer originally, who sadly passed away. But that was when I was growing up, seeing that and hearing that as a sound coming, you know, and it's so cool because it was playing the kind of Chuck Berry stuff, but it had a bit more. It was a little bit more drivey, not in terms of distortion on a guitar or anything, but a little bit more. Had more of the rhythm behind it than like if the Rolling Stones did it, it'd be a bit more loosey goosey and not as much parts, and it's about the vibe and stuff. But with you guys, it had that kind of. I was like. I just pushed a little bit.
What that was about was, I mean, there were two things. One was that Elvis Presley put that band together with great players in the rhythm section, and so everybody was influenced by that in terms
Las
of
Vegas
playing in the nightclubs and whatnot in the 70s. So we all did a bit of that. But the other thing was we stole the bass part really from the early Elvis Presley things, like where they had this slap bass, and if you build up the track,
when you're talking slap bass, you're not talking like 80s R&B kind of slap bass. You're talking about kind of
50s
slap
this
standard
double
bass.
bass,
Double bass.
Yeah. And they'd play this. I think they've got a rhythm guitar with a just like straightforward like that. Yeah. And then because there was no drum part, and the bass part would play. And we've stole that and put it into a more swingy kind of thing, like the Jerry Lee Lewis version of Little Queenie, which starts like that. And it became a way of sort of explaining, in a sense, how you play that kind of thing.
We can make it.
one. That's
Yeah,
actually
awesome.
and there was an ending to it. That's
Yeah.
He used to sort of build up a lot of
But
that.
the Chuck Berry version of that song isn't as good as the Jerry Lee Lewis
No,
version.
I mean,
Jerry Lee Lewis version.
I think that is Hank Garland actually on there doing
Yeah.
that. It could be him or possibly George Martin.
Yeah.
But I think that's Hank Garland. And I mean, just great musicians in the studio. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
The Jerry Lee Lewis stuff's amazing. And I always there's one song and a whole lot of shaking going on. But the Jerry Lee Lewis version, that's great as well. But there's one bit where the bass player and Jerry Lee Lewis is playing keys get the chord the wrong way around and they're playing the opposite chord. And he just left it on and it's fine.
Yeah, that's right.
But a whole lot of
that's right.
shaking going on there is, I mean, his delivery, Jerry Lee Lewis, I listen to it more and more as I go on. His delivery is so good. Like it's,
Well, his version of What I Say, I mean, a lot of people, including me, think that the Jerry Lee Lewis version of What I Say
Better
was
than Ray
actually
Charles.
better than Ray Charles's.
yeah.
you
Was
know.
it on an acoustic stand-up piano or was it on a electric kind of
Oh,
Fender
no,
Rhodes?
an electric. As far as I know, that was an acoustic piano. And I think Hank Garland was on that as well.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. Jerry Lee Lewis is obviously the guy. There's a story, isn't it? I think he was touring with Chuck Berry and Elvis, and it was him, and it was Sun Records or whatever. It was a tour, and Chuck Berry and Jerry Lee Lewis, I think at the time, were maybe the more established acts, and they were arguing about who was going to headline on which night, and they kind of arguing over and over, and eventually. They came to a point where they drew lots or something like that, and they decided that Chuck Berry was going to go on last that night.
Yeah.
So Jerry Lee Lewis walks on stage with what appears to be a bottle of water, doesn't touch the water all night, plays his part, obviously goes crazy like he did, and kicking the piano and all that, and at the end pours this water all over the piano and sets the thing on fire in the club, and comes off stage and says, "Follow that."
Yeah, well, I think they were all a bit bonkers. Though.
Yeah. This is the same era that Phil Spector's putting guns in people's faces.
Yeah. And we all know that finished quite tragically.
Yeah. But that the more like one of the things I did not recently, but quite not too long ago, was steal all of Mum's old records, and from having a record player in the house and going back, and it pushes you want to listen to the music that was created for the record player. Like you can get modern albums and stuff like that.
Well, I reckon that vinyl is selling a lot nowadays.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a niche thing, and to go and listen to it, it's a totally different sound to how you get obviously from you, because there's no sub on it as well, and everything's mixed in a slightly different way, and it's not compressed. There's more space in the recording. But listening to the Jerry Lee Lewis and that those old kind of rock and roll recordings is really something that you can enjoy. It's the perfect medium for it. The man got a good record player. It's slightly too fast. Like listening to a Steely Dan track on it, and I had a drummer round, and he was saying. It's a bit fast that, and you just could hear the BPM because he plays a lot of Steely Dan. But it's Steely Dan is somebody who told me a lot about as well over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they're incredibly talented people. You know, with all that stuff about coming out of New York like they did and finishing up on the West Coast.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the players that they used and stuff in this.
Well, that was part of the interest of being a musician, was to try and figure out who played what for who and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, it becomes almost like a kind of trading cards for football.
That's
like, you know, like kids play you swap.
Well, you would because I mean there were such great players out there. People like Grady Martin, who played all that acoustic stuff for what was his name? For Marty Robbins.
Right.
And then you got the people who played for the Simon and Garfunkel again, who were New York people, but they finished up, lots of their stuff was recorded in Los Angeles, simply because they could get to and they had some parts done in Nashville. I never realised that. I heard them talking about it on a program recently, and they said we've got some of the guitar parts done in Nashville.
Yeah.
You know, so you can see that they put that together with a very carefully selected way, and of course they got fabulous.
Yeah, and they had all the
success.
players like Chuck Rainey and
That's right.
and Bernard Purdy, who
Yes.
is when you
Yes.
used to, because my dad is he's retired now, but you used to be a lecturer for Sheffield University and Huddersfield University and Barnsley College, and a lot of the people that I know and have grown up playing music with were students of yours originally.
Yeah.
So Anna, Chris, people, Tom Attar, other people like that, and this video you also used to show was the behind the music thing for for Steely Dan, and Bernard Purdy, who's the drummer. If you've got 5 minutes and you haven't seen it, most people will probably have seen it who are musicians who watch this. But even if you're not a musician, go and check out Bernard Purdy explaining the Purdy Shuffle, because he has a drum beat of his own, and he's a character. He's brilliant. He's got this drum kit. It's not tuned up or anything, and he just sat there, he's just tapping it, and he's explaining it, or he's splaining it. I think that's what he's teaching it to you, and he's fantastic. But I've never heard drums sound as good as that, and there's no particular mics, and it's not tuned up or anything, it's just his touch. But one of the things he did with Steely Dan, they said they had to think about hiring him, like, because obviously they got a lot of musicians coming in and out of the studio, and top guys. Yeah. They'd have like an A band, a B band, and a C band, wouldn't they? They'd record a track 2 or 3 times with 3 bands, and then pick which band they preferred for that track.
They did all that. Yeah.
So when he turned up the first time, he turned up with 2 signs next to his drum kit. So he'd set his drum kit up, and he's got another bag which got a load of poles and stuff in it, and he set up one sign on one side of his drum kit and one side of this is in a studio, so just all I can see him is a control room, and I think he said on one of the signs is you gone done it, and on the other sign it said you gone hired the hitmaker.
That's right. That's what he thought he was.
And before he played a note, and people stood in control room, I think, just scratching their head.
Well, it was interesting to listen to Steely Dan talking about the session players. I mean, let's face it, some fabulous session players in New York. But they were saying that they thought, in the end, it wasn't a coincidence that lots of those people like them and Simon Garfunkel people finished up in Los Angeles. That there's probably a bigger range of great players. By the way, I didn't lecture for Sheffield University. I lectured on some of their degree courses, but externally, not for them.
But it was one of their degree courses.
On one of their degree courses.
Yeah. But that was always the thing about session musicians. Like a lot of people most people from your era of music, and people looking back on the era, would have been listening to the Stones and the Who and people like that, and the British bands and stuff like that. But you're always more interested in the session players from America, which is interesting, because most of the musicians that I know now, we look back, and there's a documentary about the Motown session players with Jameson. It's called Standing in Shadows of Motown. Yeah. There's one about the LA people, which was the Wrecking Crew, which was James Burton and Carol Kay. People who played on the Beach Boys things and all those, and Sonny and Cher and all that sort of thing. And then there's the New York scene, and then there's the Muscle Shoals and all that sort of stuff. That's the more southern version, is it? Where the Rolling Stones went to record
them. I mean, there was Nashville as well.
Nashville, of course, yeah. But you were more interested in the LA session musicians, weren't you? That's what I've always heard you saying, anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
rather than British bands kind of coming out and playing like Rolling Stones or anything like that.
It was a question of what you listened to that you were interested in. In order to actually learn, you wanted to learn from the best players, kind of thing. And I mean, to start with, you would just listen to these parts, and you eventually found out who this was, and it would normally turn out to be some West Coast session player. That's the kind of.
No, we talked about
Nashville or Nashville session.
I remember seeing a Nashville session guitar player turn up in Barnsley once and watching him play, and it was just ridiculous. And I don't think he was even a top guy. He was just one of the dudes who was
tremendous people.
But talking about session musicians, if you're, as a guitar player, and I know this, as I say, I listen to a lot of keys players for stuff to do, because I play a lot of acoustic, so I'm filling out stuff behind, looking for ideas to fill out stuff behind female singers or stuff like that. So it's important not to just look at your own instrument. A lot of lead guitar players listen to sax player, jazz sax players and stuff like that. But one of your favourite session musicians that I've always wanted to talk about is Joe Osborne, who was a member of, I think, the kind of Wrecking Crew. He did a lot of stuff with the Carpenters, didn't he?
Joe Osborne, my favourite musician of all time, actually. I mean, just the most gifted...
Bass player.
Yes, he's the most gifted musician that I've ever heard.
Yeah. If you're going to listen to some... I mean, he did Age of Aquarius, didn't he? He did that. Which is, if you listen to it, it's got some ridiculous stuff in it. But he did a lot of the Carpenters, Age of Aquarius, a lot of 70s kind of...
Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah.
Neil Diamond.
Yeah.
Mamas and the Poppers.
Yeah.
Rick Nelson.
Yeah.
Hello, Mary Lou. But, I mean,
was that at the time as well?
The list, Barbara Streisand,
Yeah.
the list is... unending when you look him up.
Well, if you were going to tell somebody which Joe Osborne song it'd be, they should look out for which one is it?
Anything from Rick Nelson through to the Carpenters. I mean, any of the Carpenters things like that one. I think he said his favourite part was that. I can't think of one. Although I've looked at the two of us strangers in many ways. For all we know. But he also played for Motown and things like that. And he played on lots of films, and he even played on commercials, on television commercials, just going on and playing the bass. I mean, how crazy is that?
Well, I think it's the thing that a lot of session musicians do end up doing. Is you're mercenary, aren't you? You're playing for who's paying, which kind of sounds cynical. But I was reading a book called the War of Art, and it's based on the old Sun Tzu Art of War, which is an Eastern philosophy kind of way to how to wage battle on battlefield with forces and stuff. So this book is it's using that form to talk about how to the battle of being creative and creating art. And it said one of the parts in it is saying that you should taking on the role of the mercenary or professional gives you the right amount of humility. I think gives a right level of humility. So because what a lot of people do when they're kind of creating something or writing something, if you're writing, and I've talked to friends about this with writing songs and not finishing them, if you're writing a song, one of the things you tend to not do is never get around to releasing it because it's your song. You're like, it's not good enough yet. Whereas if it was somebody else, you do the part to your best of your ability and you record it and send it off, get paid for it. Yeah. So when you're being creative, the idea is to be a mercenary. So I don't think that what I'm getting around to saying is like doing jingles and stuff like that is just part of the game of being a professional musician.
I think it would be, but if you're the kind of genius that knocks around at the very top end of let's say the West Coast session world, then I suppose you'd turn up and play anything. Anybody asks you to.
Well, the thing is and the thing is for like adverts, corporations is always the biggest pain.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are other people do it, but I found it very surprising that a bass player would simply, be a guy who was sort of out there playing televisions and film and all this kind of thing, and lots of it's not credited. I don't know.
Chris Aspin played some music on I'm sure he did some bass playing on a film score the other day. He's in a session with that. Chris Aspin's in the first podcast I did. He's one of my best friends. We've been playing in groups for 10, 15 years together or something like that. But yeah, he was saying a lot of pressure, because there's some really big names and stuff in the room and playing to I think they had the film on the screen and everything like that. So I don't think it's easy. I mean, it's really a professional end of the world of playing. And when you're in that recording studio situation as well, it's like a microscope. But live, as long as it kind of comes across and the energy's right, and nowadays it's a lot about looking right and all that sort of thing. I suppose it kind of always has been, but so the playing is kind of almost it's got to be good, but you can, it's forgiving in a way. But when you're recording, especially with the better the equipment gets, the bigger the microscope gets. So I did something with acoustic recording the other day where they had these Neumann mics from the 70s, U87s from the 70s, and a big Neve desk. And I heard the acoustic guitar is fantastic. But anything that wasn't perfect was there in your face.
Well, I'm sure that's the case, and I mean, some of the people who exist at that level are certainly people that we can learn off all the time. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's why it's interesting to listen to.
Well, that's the thing, it never ending, is it?
You know, I could listen to that all the time.
Yeah.
I think I was going to throw in this, just this thing about playing this, playing this particular rhythm, which is this rhythm, not that sort of pop thing, but this kind of. Which you might call a sort of Scotty Moore type thing that it's coming from. But there are lots of these, there are literally hundreds of these, and you can just, I've got a little medley of them, and it just gives you a sort of way of warming up. It's almost an exercise, like lots of these things are. And there are literally hundreds of things like that simply fit into that. You know, it's a good little exercise for coordination.
Sure.
You know, I'll just play one more, which I think I can, or two, just to give a contrasting style with these.
Let me just double check that camera again. So don't play it yet. Sorry about this. It's technical worries, not difficulties yet.
Technical diversion.
Oh, bloody hell, I stopped recording. It was an hour and... So that recorded for an hour and two, so it might have missed 20 minutes off the recording of it, of the video. I suppose it's got kind of a limit on what's...
Well, perhaps...
Let's have it going. So it might have missed 10 minutes of the... Right.
So is that it?
No. We'll finish, do the things you were going to do, and then we'll finish off.
But it's not recording it?
Yeah, it is recording now. I've just set it back recording.
So I see.
There's going to be 10 minutes missing of the video, so... Okay, so...
Well, I just play these...
Apologies for that, there's about 10 minutes of video probably missing, so... I'd say we've had some technical nightmares there. Basically, I bought a GoPro, and now it's having some SD card errors, so I can't use the GoPro. So I'm using the iPhone today, and I think it records an hour and then it stops. So anyway, we're going to do. I think you're going to play a couple more bits, and then we'll
just a few ideas for. I mean, just talking about the general idea of putting it together in pop terms, but this, I mean, you can take that sort of twos thing, which it might not have recorded, Or just a straight song like this. If you get a nice song, you might want to play it through. This is an example that I picked up last year. It's called Sea of Love. I've forgotten it. I'll play it again. That was made in the 50s, I think, written by a guy, an outsider who nobody knew, and it became the theme of a film by Al Pacino called Sea of Love.
Yeah.
It was written into the plot. But I mean, it's a great one of these great pop ballads. Yeah. But it just fits on the guitar as though it was written for guitar kind of thing.
Well, it does when you play it like that. Yeah, it reminded me of an Elvis tune. I think I can't remember. What was the other thing you were going to show?
Just a couple of contrasting two-feel things. This is an old, I think, like an Al Jolson song. I better pick up one.
Al Jolson, the guy who was the minstrel.
Yeah, the minstrel guy. It's a great song, isn't it? You know, it's
better than Swanee.
That's
because Al Johnson's going around Swanee.
Yeah. Well, he did another one. I've just thought he did another one, which I learned a bit back. I'll throw this in as well. I'm sure this was him. It might have been Julie Garland.
Sounds like a Julie Garland.
called Waiting for the Robert E. Lee.
Right.
And it was done as a big minstrel production. Kind
Feels
of.
like it should end with jazz hands.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lovely thing, but I mean, this is a different one now. If I can get the feel right for this. But it's Country Roads, John Denver. Again, it's something that is so appropriate for fingerstyle. You know, you can make a proper version of it. I'm just playing the melody and the tune kind of thing. But you don't need to play a lot more to make it into a decent piece. You know.
Well, I was going to ask you. Let's try and wrap it up. So one of the things that I enjoy listening to you play, and I heard you playing when you were warming up in the other room, is the Eric Johnson tribute to Jerry Reed.
Oh yeah.
Can you play that?
Yeah, well, have a bash at it.
So Jerry Reed is a guitar player that married Chet Atkins' daughter.
So they say, yes, I heard that.
So they were, so they always were on TV together.
They did some duets,
and including the Claw and Jerry's Breakdown and all that. Yeah. Jerry's Breakdown's the one that goes, was it? Somewhere around there.
Super stuff, yeah.
Unless you do that every day, you just can't keep up with it. It's actually harder to play slower than it is to play fast. You've got all that. That's the bit that I like. When it goes into I miss out Chet Atkins bit because he does that. Never really got around to that. That's the sort of thing you can't unless you're doing that every day. It never really works. But that's the Jerry Reed style, isn't that? And it's with the kind of claw picking. In fact, he's got the song.
But he played sort of acoustic guitars and he also played electric.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's very similar to the Ricky Skaggs one that I was doing. Isn't it? Yeah. So Eric Johnson who's famous like Chris Dover and doing G3 and stuff like that, he does this tribute to Jerry Reed.
To Jerry Reed,
I always get Jerry Reed and Jerry Lewis mixed up. He does a tribute to him, and it isn't really like Eric Johnson, because Eric Johnson is all about this kind of strap playing with some with a lot of kind of drive on it. So and kind of these faster, all that, which Joe Bonamassa makes a lot of. So that's the normal thing that Eric Johnson's doing, and he's got a kind of fuzz tone that he uses a lot with the Strat. Hendrixy, very Hendrixy, but this isn't any of that. So
well, it's super. I mean, I've just seen it because a musician rang me up and said, have a go at that or something, and I did look at it, and it's a really good part. I don't know what else the lad plays, but it was a superb part.
Let's do this and then I'll cut it. I'm sure the camera's probably cut out again. So eventually these will be on iTunes, so it'll just be audio on the iTunes anyway. It won't matter that the camera's cutting out. We'll probably get it on YouTube as well. So anyway, do it. Let's do it. Make sure the camera can see. The camera that's not even working. Let's leave it there. Thank you so much for doing this, Dan. I'm glad that we finally got around to getting... Because the thing is, your guitar playing doesn't exist in the world of the internet. So now it will.
I see.
Mostly filmed, sometimes sometimes camera will cut out. But no, I'm really happy that we got that. Good. Because it's very unique and it isn't something that people hear. Like you write it off, but this isn't a style or sound that people generally associate with coming out of a guitar, electric guitar particularly. So,
well, I mean, it may be more prevalent than you think, because if you think about it, I mean, Eric Johnson actually did the original of
but
that.
it didn't sound like that. It sounds like a guy playing like this, with the Jerry Reed style, which is a great style. It's an interesting style, but this is a different thing, and it's and I don't think you realise how unique it is. Anyway, I'm really glad that we got around to doing it.
We'll see.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Enjoyed it, man.
Yeah.
Cheers.
The Kind of About Music podcast.